And we are back. And I have to tell you that one of my favorite places in the whole world to visit happens to be Costa Rica. I've been there twice, took my kids there, took my wife there, just had a wonderful time. It's have you been there, Devin?
I've been there once when I was much, much younger and had a great time. And, there's some risky driving scenarios.
Yes.
But other than driving up some hefty cliffs, it was really great time and great weather.
It's just a wonderful place. And when I saw read about this trip for women, this retreat to Costa Rica, and I saw the itinerary and the things that women were doing, the first thing I thought about is how my wife would love to go on something like that. She's not as adventurous as I am, so if I were to send her without me, I'm not so sure she would go, but if I was a woman, I would love to go, put it that way. So I wanted to share this with everybody. So without further ado, to learn a little bit more about this incredible women's retreat, where you're going to just improve your life significantly from what I could see. The woman who's going to be leading the pack there, who's going to teach you everything that you need to know, none other than Renata Joy. Renata, are you there?
I am.
Well,
Hi.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Very exciting.
Well, it's a pleasure, and we have our surprise guest host, Devin Woolsey, who is here with us today. She's a world traveler as well, and I thought
a woman,
which I thought would be perfect to have her join us so that she can have a better understanding. You don't get it, but I mean, when I'm talking golf and I'm talking travel, being a guy, mostly I talk guy stuff, and I feel really guilty. So every once in a while, I'll bring on like an apparel, designer or something to talk about some frilly women's clothing or something, and I have no clue. But I just feel it's only fair to give the women their due,
Our fair
exactly.
Share.
So that's why I invited you. But I am so happy that Devin is here. So,
now men can go on retreats too,
Well, of
and
course,
wear
but not this one.
Clothes.
Well, yeah, we go on golf retreats. That's what we talk about on the golf segment.
Close. I like that.
I don't know about on a golf retreat though, but we do make fun of the golfers if they hit a bad drive and it doesn't get past what used to be known as the women's tees, which is now the forwards tees. We make fun of them and say they have to put on a skirt or something. So, it could be frilly. You never know. But in any event, I understand the need for women to get away and do women things, just like us guys like to go and play poker and smoke cigars and play golf. So without, going much further, first of all, why don't we talk a little bit about how you even got into this business of being somebody who is so knowledgeable about fitness, of physical fitness and mental fitness and changing your outlook on life, because obviously you used to be a TV producer. So what happened? How did you change like this?
I was a television producer for 22 years, actually, and but I always knew that taking care of yourself and health and wellness and stuff was something that was really, really important. And I used to teach that even when I was in TV. I would have everybody at the television station exercising and watching what they ate and all of that. And they all thought I was crazy, but ultimately they all did it anyway. So it's really important.
Well, I got to say, I mean, I looked at some of the photos of you on your website, and I've never been in that kind of shape, so you're doing something right.
Well, yeah, I exercise every day. I eat really healthy, and a lot of people think I'm 61 years old, actually, but people think I'm like 30.
Yes.
So I like to say that what I teach women in particular is how to stay young, strong, and sexy for life.
Okay, I'm all for that.
I think so.
I like to be around women that are like that, so that's wonderful. But I think about exercising every day.
Yeah, me too.
Well, let me ask you this: you're walking on the golf course, right?
Oh, are you kidding me? It's so hot and humid down here. If I have to just walk from the golf cart to my ball, that's enough exercise for me.
But even if you're walking from your golf course to that's exercise.
It is. It's just not as much as you would think.
Walking around the golf course is good exercise.
I take a lot of swings out there, so I do that for the exercise. It's not because I'm bad. It's just because I want to get a lot more stretching and exercise in. So that's why I do that.
That's good exercising too, especially for your core, area.
It sure is.
Swing for that golf ball. So yeah, that's exercise.
So I like I said earlier, I happen to love Costa Rica. It's one of the most beautiful countries. They have more per capita preserved lands and ecological parks and things like that than anywhere in the world. But I was reading the itinerary that you've put together, and man, you've packed so much stuff into every single day. I was exhausted just reading it. But,
no. The purpose of the retreat is not to go there to get exhausted.
I'm kidding. That's just because I'm so out of shape.
So that can actually unplug and recharge.
So
while it looks like there's a lot to do, we're actually going to be, soaking in the sun. We're going to be doing meditation and yoga on the beach, eating healthy, delicious food. We're going to be dancing. We're going to be laughing. We're going to get pampered. It's total relaxation. Total relaxation.
And Devin is salivating right now.
Yeah, I'd love to come.
Devin,
have me on there.
Devin, come with us. It's going to be fabulous.
Yeah, I to be honest, I saw some of the photos of some of the food, and you had all the fruit there, and obviously, it's a tropical climate down there, so it's all nice local fruit. Stuff, and it looks so good, and I can attest that, and I'm sure you remember too from being there, that the fruit there is just incredible. So.
Oh yeah.
So tell me about so besides being this expert on what you do, tell me how you came to do these packaged retreats. I know that you work with a company that puts together several different ones using experts like yourself, so different folks can pick what it is that they want to immerse themselves in. But how long have you been doing this kind of a thing with these retreats?
Actually, we've been doing it for a little bit. We're working with Retreats Unlimited, and it's a great organization that actually, helps us put together the retreats. But the main purpose for doing it, and this is why I started doing them, is because what I noticed is that women in particular don't take care of themselves. We're caregivers. We take care of other people. We're looking after our kids. We're looking after our spouses. We're looking after our parents. But very rarely are we really taking care of ourselves. And so I wanted to give women an opportunity to go someplace where that they could actually kind of hit the pause button on their lives and just focus on themselves. And that was kind of the main reason that I wanted to do this.
Now, in looking at your website, and why don't you tell everybody where, if they're listening along, that they can get more information right now, and then we'll say it again later. Can you do that?
More information about the retreat?
Yeah.
Okay. The website is purejoywellness.com.
Okay.
You can go on purejoywellness.com and click on retreats, and that'll give you all the information that you need as to the information where and how you can participate in the retreat.
Now, in looking at it, besides drooling over that tasty-looking fruit, it looked like the place where the lodging is going to be, where you'll all be staying, it looked like an estate or a mansion or something. It didn't look like a hotel. Why don't you explain a little bit about that place?
Yeah, it's actually a villa. And it's a private villa that, we are going to have the entire thing. And so everyone will have a fabulous room that overlooks the ocean. And so we'll have our own chefs that will cook all of our wonderful foods. And like I said, we're going to be doing wonderful exercising, and we're going to be hiking and all of that good stuff. So I encourage you, if you have a wife, to give that as a present. It'll be a great present for your wife.
Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Send your wife away.
Sister. Well, not really send her away. But,
I'm just kidding.
Take care of herself, yeah.
We tease that way every week because we're always looking for different good deals to send people away. But nobody complains if you get a good opportunity to do something wonderful. So it's okay to go away or run away. I mean, it's a good thing. So we're all in when it comes to that. So okay. So now you had mentioned that besides staying there and besides just doing yoga and all the different fitness things, are you going to have an opportunity to see some of the natural beauty there, like the sloths and the toucans and the rainforest and things like that as well?
Well, we're going to have an opportunity for people to be able to go out and kind of take in all the things that Costa Rica has to offer. So they will have those opportunities to experience the beauty and the nature of Costa Rica, as well as what we're offering at the retreat.
Yeah, I find that, like I say, the natural stuff, the volcano, the last time I was there, within 24 hours, I watched lava flow from a volcano and felt an earthquake all within 24 hours. So there's a lot of geothermal activity going on there. It's a hot spot, huh?
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. You know, the monkeys really like to participate as well.
Yes.
So that you have to.
Yeah. Watch out that fruit. Don't put that banana
Yes.
down at breakfast.
There's a lot of monkeys, but they're all very cute.
Yes.
At least I think so.
No, I when I was there last time, I remember I took a horseback ride.
Yes, so did I. Down the beach.
On the beach and the rainforest.
Yep. I did the
that's
same
where
thing.
I saw the sloths and the toucans,
Yes.
and of course there's always the I think they were the first place to do the zip lines, right?
Oh, yes, I did that too.
Yeah.
Almost cut my head off.
You've done that already as well?
Have I?
Yes. Renan, have you ever done it?
I haven't personally done the zip lining, but you know that is an offering that we're going to have. One of the other things that I wanted to mention was that you know we're going to be doing other retreats for couples, and we're going to be doing retreats for mothers and daughters, and fathers and sons. And so you know we really want to get everybody involved in this whole self-care movement that we're doing.
It's obviously it's good being you.
I love
Yeah,
it.
sounds like exactly what I want to do.
I know you get to go on all of them.
Yeah.
Anybody who's listening might opt to try one, and that would be wonderful.
Hey,
but you go on all of
We
them.
can do a golf retreat too.
Well, there's nothing wrong with
for all
that.
the golfers out there.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. I did play at the Los Sueños Marriott in Costa Rica, and they're famous because their 18-hole course, every 6 holes is in a different ecosystem.
Wow.
In other words,
wow.
one is like the rainforest, and then you leave the rainforest to something else, and then you come down closer to the beach or something, and it's 3 distinct different climates or whatever, all within one golf course. So it truly is an amazing place. Now, the other thing, and I don't know how much interaction you'll have the opportunity to have, but I felt that the people of Costa Rica are some of the friendliest people I've ever met, and not all of them are all that well off. You know, their economy, you know, it's not like it is here. But I found that those people would give the shirt off their back to us as visitors who are obviously wealthier than them if we're vacationing there. But you don't see that in other poor countries always, where the people, you know, are not as friendly, or they're envious or jealous or whatever. These people, they're not trying to take your money. They're trying to give you an experience in the warmth of their country. And that is unusual.
Yeah. I think having that experience is really, really important. Like what we would like to do in our research is we like to find the young and the sexy in every region, you know, and so I'm sure there are tons of them in Costa Rica. But I also want to encourage you, I know, is to really think about, you know, all the men out there that listen to your show, to really think about giving this as a gift to that special lady in your life. You know, let her know how important she is to you, and that you really want her to take care of herself. And this is a great way to get her to do that, is to send her on one of the retreats.
Well, now that you said all of that, I think the last thing left to say is one more time some of the details so that, you know, everybody can find out about it. So first, why don't you give the dates and, you know, the location. Of course, Costa Rica is a big country. You're actually on the other side of Costa Rica that I have yet to visit. That I'd like to visit. So why don't you give us some more details so that anybody who's listening can jot it down, get interested, and last but not least, one more time, that website too.
So if you want to go on the retreat, you can go to purejoywellness.com, click on retreats. We're going to be in Costa Rica on April 28th through May the 2nd. Would love to have you there. We're going to be doing yoga and meditation. We're going to eat healthy foods. We're going to dance. We're going to laugh. We're going to get pampered. We're going to have a fabulous time. And I encourage all men that are listening to your show to give this as a gift to their spouses or the beautiful women in their lives, and all women who need to recharge and unplug to come and join us.
And I think it sounds like a wonderful idea. That's why I had you on, and I'm so glad that I did.
Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Renata. All right, what we're going to do is I think we're going to take one last break, a minute or two early, and then I got a little more golf news for you. I've got a bunch of deals for you, and we're going to have a few minutes for Devin to tell us some of her pearls of wisdom from her travels. Because
my newest one, yes.
She travels to places that I don't get a chance to get to, and I like to hear about it. So you're all going to have to bear with me while I hear her stories. You're all going to have to listen in. So stay tuned, and we'll be back with more of the Golf and Travel Show.
The circus is falling down on its knees. The Big Top is crumbling down. It's raining in Baltimore, 50 miles east, where you should be. No one's around.
And we are back, and that's an interesting song I chose. It's called Raining in Baltimore from Counting Crows, and I actually am heading to Baltimore in a couple of days for several days, and I was there for this is for a trade show. I went to the same trade show 2 years ago, and Baltimore is an interesting city. It's certainly a blue-collar working-class city, but I typically stay down by the Inner Harbor, which is a beautiful area, and the convention center that I'll be at is right across the street from Camden Yards, where the Orioles will be playing a week or two after I leave, unfortunately, but they're getting ready, for the season, and it's just a nice time to experience spring outside of Florida, where seasons are, summer,
the same.
summer and summer
More
and summer. Yeah, exactly. So, but in any event, that's Baltimore. So I will be back by next Friday, so I'll fill everybody in on some of the restaurants I went to, the hotel that I'm staying at right there on the harbor. So we will see. But in the meantime, a gentleman who we've had as a guest on the show before, and it was very, very impressive, and I always mess up his name or forget how to say it. I think it's Ralph Cochran, and he's a young gentleman who started this charity golf tournament series to raise money to feed poor kids, mainly in Haiti. And I think he's working on building a school there now. And the kid, he's all of like 13, and this is like his third annual event now. So a very, very fine gentleman doing really good work to help people in need. And they just announced the details on their tournament, so I promised I would tell everybody. It's Saturday, April 28th at the Mayaku Lakes Country Club in West Palm Beach. So if anybody is interested in checking out the details, the best place to go would be foodforthepoor.org, and you can learn all about the projects and the good work that's being done, and you can sign up for the golf tournament. I guess tonight's a night to talk about golf tournaments. We don't always have a lot of them to talk about, but I've always said that the best day I can ever have is preferably if my boss pays for me to go play in a charity tournament on a weekday on company time.
That sounds like my dream.
Right? It's like a win-win-win-win-win. You know, you're not paying. You're hanging out with really cool people who are all there to have a good time and raise money.
Off work.
You're doing this instead of work. You're in the beautiful weather, beautiful surroundings, and raising money for a good cause. Those are my favorite days. So I don't have enough of them. If my boss is listening and I'm raising my hand to say, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, me too.
Let me go play. So hopefully you folks will sign up for that. And we'll remind everybody as we get closer. Usually I like to tease everybody by holding my deals for last. So I think we're going to do that and save them. So this is your chance to shine. So you like to write about your travels. You travel all over the world, and you blog about it, and you do a great job explaining to people the off the beaten path kinds of things, perhaps that the average tourist and might not go. Maybe what the locals know, the things that are not necessarily expensive because they're not the tourist traps.
I'm all about the inexpensive,
right? But it doesn't make them bad. So So where is your latest place that you want to tell everybody about?
So my latest trip, actually, my first advice would be when I was planning this trip, I wasn't as open to destinations as I should have been. So when I picked one and then it didn't work out, I was more disappointed. And then I found, okay, I can go, which is where I'm probably going to go in 2 weeks from now, to Mexico, round trip for $200. And I could have gone to Cancun and where spring breakers go, but I wanted to avoid that like the plague.
Well, we just a week or two ago, we spoke to a good friend of mine, frequent guest, who flew into Cancun and went to several of the other areas there and did not have a very good experience. There was an explosion on a ferry that he felt and heard. There was just, it was not great there. So Mexico is a wonderful country with wonderful people, but they are having some issues. So be careful.
I will. I'm going to Mexico City.
Okay. Now, Mexico City is one of the busiest cities in the world,
and
right?
it's a busy city, but
You're
not
not renting
as
a car and
touristy.
driving, are you?
No, it's.
Thank goodness.
I rented a car on my last trip, and driving through the hills in Romania and Transylvania was
tough
something I
enough.
don't want to do again.
But an overcrowded city.
Yes,
Yeah.
and my Spanish is not that great. I can get around, so I'm going to Mexico City, hopefully going to go to Oaxaca, which is where all of mezcal is made, which is the closest cousin to tequila. So if anybody likes tequila, they
you get
might
the
like
little
mezcal.
the mezcal worm at the bottom.
Yes, and that's probably the only
Don't
place you
eat the
can get
worm
it.
either, please.
And,
Do me a favor.
and all the neighboring city states around there. And I realized actually the only bad thing about not going to Cancun is that Cancun is actually a lot closer to Chichen Itza than Mexico City. And I'm trying to get to all
To
of the
the
seven
ruins?
wonders of the
Okay.
world, but
Sure.
it doesn't look like I'm going to get to it on this trip. So on my next touristy spring break trip, I'll have to go there. But I already live in Miami, so I'm living tourist spring break right now through the next month and a half.
There you go. Now, I've heard that they have a tremendous foodie scene in Mexico City these days.
Yes, I've already looked up all of the places I'm going to go. And not only that, it's very, very inexpensive compared to the touristy places like Cancun. You'd pay $20 at like maybe a Señor Frogs or one of
Sure.
those other, Hard Rocks or one of those. But this is all local food, really good, really, really cheap. And then on top of that, they have hotels and Airbnbs that are, average $15 a night.
Wow.
So I can take this whole trip for probably around $400, including food, airfare, places to stay, and things to do, and maybe the bus to Oaxaca and Puebla during the day as well.
Very
So I'm very
nice.
excited. And the reason I found that was because I said, okay, I'm not going to limit myself. I'm just, whatever is out there that's very inexpensive. And I said, okay, Mexico City. Didn't think of that, but might as well.
I
So-
said, it's, these days Mexico gets a lot of bad publicity.
It does.
But
It does.
But there are many people who travel,
beautiful.
especially people who are like you that are free travelers. They're not, worry warts. They don't worry about everything. But I happen to work with somebody, a colleague of mine, who he's from Mexico City and his family is still there. So he goes there several times a year as a local.
Yeah.
And I know that he has a lot of cool places he goes to and things that he does there. So, and I was there many, many, many years ago. You weren't even born, of course, when I was there. I was a wee lad myself. I was probably about 16 years old when I was there last in Mexico City. Visited the Olympic Stadium where they
Nice.
had the Olympics there, and of course, I guess they play soccer there these days. And saw their famous. They have a famous dancing troupe, I believe, of some sort that do the traditional
Yes.
Mexican dancing that's based out of there. What else did I see when I was in Mexico City?
They've got
I
a
did
lot of
see,
famous
I did see
cathedrals,
some of the pyramids
yeah.
that were there as well.
Yes, they have a few pyramids right
Yes.
outside
Yeah,
of
that's
Mexico
probably
City
what I
that you
saw.
can take a
Yep.
day trip to.
That's what I saw.
would butcher the name, but you can get there pretty easily by bus or if
Yeah,
you want
they did
a
not.
guided
They don't
tour.
look like the pyramids like in Egypt. I
Right.
mean, they're different. They're like these. They look more like a pyramid-shaped mountain of some sort,
Yes.
or it is a little bit different. But I remember. I say I'm going back more years than I want to admit to. But I remember walking up, Mr. Out of Shape guy that I am, as I attested to earlier, walking up these pyramids. Also remember, be careful. You're going to be higher than Denver in altitude.
Right. Yes.
So you got to drink a lot of water. You get dehydrated very, very easily, especially if you're doing strenuous stuff. So it's recently, who was it? The golfers. The golfers were there, and the ball travels so much further because of the thinness of the air at that altitude. So you need to be very, very careful. See, I worry about you.
No, I'm fine. I've never, I've been in weird situations that just become good stories to tell my friends or, then if I die, then a good story, that would be on the news or BuzzFeed. But I've always just said I'm just going to go with it. And this seemed like the best. And it's only a 3.5-hour flight from Miami. And my other options actually, I found a trip to Iceland for round trip 270. So that was my second choice, but it's around 9 hours to get there.
These days, and I don't know if I have one of those deals here today, but you can fly to Iceland and have a layover,
Yes,
like on
like
Iceland
20
Air.
hours
Yeah,
layover.
exactly. And Iceland Air these days has some very, very attractive prices, and it's better than flying on WOW, which also flies through Reykjavik.
Yes, that
but
was
it's
one
no
I
frills
had
at
with.
all. Icelandair, at least I think they don't charge you for a carry-on.
Or maybe they give you like a drink.
Exactly.
One
they may
beverage,
charge you for
perhaps.
a checked suitcase, but
Yes.
not for a carry-on at least. And you travel light, so you probably don't even need to check a suitcase. I know you.
I'm trying to smuggle in some mezcal when I go down there.
Well, good
so
luck with that.
We'll,
Hopefully we won't
see.
have to bail you out.
Because it's such better quality because it's right on source, and then they don't have I'd say the same regulations, whereas, you think the U.S. is stricter, but it just means it's made differently.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really more authentic there, and higher alcohol content as well. So.
I remember being a kid and going to Mexico when I was not old enough to drink in the States, but in Mexico,
Right.
I don't know if they even had
I don't
an
think
age.
there is. I think it's birth.
Yeah, exactly.
But still,
So,
people are pretty responsible.
Yep, I do remember, and drinking too much tequila, especially when you're young, could be a problem for anybody.
Well, I guess it turns you off when you're older.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I guess
one bad experience and you're done, right?
The main point would be, if don't get set on one thing when there are several other options that are just as good, that will save you potentially thousands of dollars.
Okay, and speaking of thousands of dollars in savings, as I like to say, we got some deals for you all, and I got to find where they all went, of course, but they're here somewhere. First of all, I do have here. I have them over here. I have some airfare for you, and there's a website that I've been talking to everybody about recently, and it's called Scott's Cheap Flights, and you can sign up for their emails, and they send you every day an email with some really good deals, and if you do want even better deals, you can pay like $50 a year and subscribe, and then they have even better deals. But actually, speaking of which, Icelandair, that's what I happen to have. See,
is it to Iceland?
It is, I believe. Let me see what I have here from them today. Yep, Icelandair fares. You could fly to London or Oslo, and you could stop over in Reykjavik. Okay, so to do that, you're gonna die when I tell you the price that we can get on this. They don't have any departures from Florida for these deals, but you don't mind going somewhere else if you're gonna get a deal like this. How about out of Newark, New Jersey? So you can fly to London. And you probably can stop in Reykjavik, too, if you want, for $285.
Round trip? Wow.
Round trip.
That's amazing.
Out of Boston, it's $305. Out of Baltimore, it's $305 as well. So come up to Baltimore while I'm there. I'll say hello and then send you on your way to London. Now, to Oslo, again, and you can go through Iceland if you would like to. Let's see. Newark is the cheapest at $321 to Oslo.
Wow. I mean, Oslo's beautiful.
Exactly. So,
Expensive, but beautiful.
Well, but at least it's cheap to get there.
To get there, yeah.
I mean, again, you can't get to California for these prices.
Yeah.
But you can get, to Europe. So crazy. Now, I threw that out there just for something different. Usually what I try and do is I start with the deals that are closest, and then I kind of work my way further and further away. I always apologize if my geography is not perfect, because some of these places I don't even know where they are. But I'm trying. But how about a cruise? Cruises, we're probably the largest. We have the largest number of cruises that have any ports.
Oh yeah.
Between Miami and Fort Lauderdale, probably anywhere in the world. So for those of you who like cruising on those mega ships, the giant ships that Royal Caribbean has, which they've been around for a few years now. Some people prefer a smaller cruise line, some ship, some prefer a bigger one. The bigger ones, of course, have been very expensive because they're new and they've got so many different things to do, zip lining and surfing and whatever, rock climbing and golfing and stuff like that. So this is leaving from either Fort Lauderdale or Miami, depending upon which one you're going to go. You're going to be on either the Allure of the Seas or the Oasis of the Seas for as little as $659 up to starting at $779, depending upon which one you take. But we are talking about a 7-night cruise in a balcony cabin. Oh, man, you're hearing our music already. This is on Travel Zoo, $659 for a balcony cabin. Go check it out on Travel Zoo. I was so interested in your stories that we almost used up all of our time. Go to Facebook.com/The Golf and Travel Show. Thanks to our guests, Michael Mandich and Renata Joy. And, of course, Devin Woolsey. Devin,
Thank
your
you.
blog, how do people find it?
Yes, medium.com, Devin Woolsey, DEVYN, not O, and then WOOLSEY.
And I'll be back next week with more guests and my tales from Baltimore. Talk to you then.
Home, when my thoughts escaping home, when my music...
You have been listening to the Golf and Travel Show, hosted by Dan Shub, heard live every Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. on 1470 WWNN, and replayed every Sunday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 740 a.m. WSBR. Visit the show on Facebook and tune in next week. If you are in South Florida or traveling the world, hit 'em straight. The opinions expressed on the following spot